Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky. Senator, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've seen the New York Times is reporting that Chairman Nunes had at least 2 White House sources for that classified information that he then turned around and reported to the president. Does that chain of events, the idea that the White House shared it with the chairman, who then shared it back with the president, and the idea that they were talking about an investigation into White House associates, does that concern you?
It sounds like a lot of breathless reporting about the president was told classified material. Well, I thought the president was allowed to read classified material. I see all of this reporting, and I don't understand a bit of what people are talking about. What is the alleged impropriety with showing the president classified material?
I think what people are looking at is the fact that White House staffers shared it with one member of the Intelligence Committee and not the ranking member as well, just the Republican. Hang on, just the Republican on it, and then you know, without sharing it with the whole committee. And then that ranking member made a point of, or sorry, the chairman made a point of rushing back to the White House to brief the president. It just looks odd. It looks odd that they would tell him and then he would tell them.
Here's the point with all this reporting. I hear that the suspects. You're calling 2 people in the White House who work there, whom I don't know and don't believe I've ever met. You're calling them suspects.
I never call them suspects.
Well, the networks. I don't even know which networks, but the networks are calling them suspects. You know, really? These are 2 people that have made, what if they are whistleblowers? Don't we like whistleblowers in government? Somebody spied on General Flynn and illegally released the information of a phone conversation he had to the media. That is a felony. And this was in the Trump administration, in the Obama administration of the Trump campaign. So everything the president has said about this is true. Someone eavesdropped on his campaign, including his national security advisor, and then leaked it to the press. That's a news story.
Just a couple things here, Senator. The president said wiretapped, that he and Trump Tower were wiretapped during the campaign. Hang on. I'm just, and again, I'm not, you are making your points here, and they're valid points. I just want to make sure we get straight what they are. General Flynn was picked up in a conversation with the Russian ambassador during the transition. That wasn't during the campaign; it was during the transition. Wouldn't that fall under the category of the incidental collection that we hear so much about? You know that we eavesdrop and surveil foreign diplomats.
A couple of points. Phones don't have wires on them anymore. The term wiretapping essentially means to most people eavesdropping. Was General Flynn part of Trump's campaign? Was he part of the transition? Yes. Did someone eavesdrop on him? Absolutely true. Did someone illegally leak that to the press? Absolutely true. So I think we've been parsing this, but I think it's mostly been unhappiness over the election. People are unhappy that Donald Trump won, so they parse the words wiretapped. Was General Flynn's phone conversation listened to? Yes. And so then the media says, oh, it's just incidental. It's no big deal. Well, actually, it is a very big deal. Many of the civil libertarians like myself are worried that 1 million Americans are having their phone calls listened to because we're targeting foreigners, but what's to stop them from reverse targeting Americans?
You've been absolutely consistent on this for your entire career. You absolutely have, and you've been talking about this long before Russia. I do want to give you credit for that, sir. I do want to ask you, I know that you really don't like talking about this at all. I know you'd much rather be talking about issues including health care, and I know you blame the media for a large part of this discussion. But do you hold the White House at all responsible for their lack of disclosure and the incremental disclosure and the way that they've handled this? Do you think they could do this any better?
All of us can do a better job. All of us make mistakes, myself included. But I do think it's sort of this witch hunt. I mean, all day this breathless stuff, the suspects that met secretly with the chairman, they all have the ability, if someone is a whistleblower and they know someone illegally looked at General Flynn's information, absolutely, I want them to come forward. They probably can't meet me at a Starbucks. They probably would meet you in a secure room, either in the Capitol or the White House. But the fact that they may have met in a secure room in the White House doesn't make it wrong. It actually makes it noble that someone is trying to clear up the mess of who spied on General Flynn, because no one's denying that General Flynn was spied upon by the Obama administration.
We don't know much about what's in this information, but one of the few things that Chairman Nunes had told us is it wasn't about Russia at all. So this information, at least, wasn't about Michael Flynn and his conversations with Russia. But I do want to move on to health care for both of our sakes right now. The president lashing out at conservatives in the House for stalling the health care overhaul. Today, he went to Twitter, and this is what he wrote: "The Freedom Caucus will hurt the entire Republican agenda if they don't get on the team and fast. We must fight them and Dems in 2018. Now, he's talking about the Freedom Caucus, which is in the House, but you were a big opponent of this health care plan also. What do you make of the fact that President Trump is effectively saying that he's going to campaign against people like you next chance he gets?
I think the Freedom Caucus is doing what's best for America. They're very principled and honorable men. And I think that we're trying to also let Republicans know that if we pass something bad, if insurance rates are going up at 20-25% a year from now, after Republicans have taken ownership of health care, that won't be good for the party, but it's also just not good for the country. We do want insurance rates to go down. We want more people to have insurance at a lower cost. And I'm still talking to the White House. I'm still talking to the Freedom Caucus. I'm talking to anybody who will listen. And I do still think, 75% chance that we still do get repeal of Obamacare, that we are going to find a good meeting place at some point.
Is pressuring conservatives in this way from the White House the right way to get to that deal?
Well, everybody uses what they have. And so it does take pressure from all sides to try to get to an agreement. It's the way deadlines work. And we go at each other back and forth. But the thing is as much as I have objected to the Ryan plan, I still think Paul Ryan and I probably agree on 90% of how we would do it. It just got mashed down from the top too much. And if they would let it percolate from the bottom up a little bit more and include conservatives in it, I still think there is a happy meeting ground that will please Paul Ryan, House Freedom Caucus, Senate conservatives, and others. But it takes a little bit of time to hash these things out. But I think we get closer every day.
Senator Rand Paul in Kentucky, I know we caught you between votes, so I really appreciate your time,
No
sir.
problem. Thank you.